Commander Kextar had been staring at the same empty display for 3 years straight. The monitoring station drifted at the edge of the void nexus like a sentinel warning travelers away from lethal hazards. Every day he scanned the instruments, and every day they reported the same. Nothing but swirling destruction where space itself unraveled. The void nexus stretched across 12 light years of what had once been ordinary space. Ships that entered never returned. Energy fluctuations from within made no sense. Time warped strangely there. Matter dissolved and reformed in ways that hurt the mind to consider. Every species in the galaxy knew to steer clear. That morning began like any other. Kextar drank his stimulant and ran through his routine checks. Radiation sensors displayed the usual chaos. Gravity detectors registered the standard impossible readings. Everything was as wrong as expected in the forbidden expanse. Then something shifted. A new blip appeared on his screen. Kextar stared for a full minute before his mind could accept what he saw. There was a ship inside the Nexus. Not fragments, or residual energy from a dying vessel. A full, intact craft moving as if nothing were wrong. He ran the scan 3 more times. Each result confirmed the same. The ship was real, and it was alive. More than that, it was broadcasting identification signals. According to his computer, it was called the USS Liberty, and it was human. Kextar's hands trembled as he opened an emergency channel to the Zephyrian Command Center. His voice cracked as he spoke. "Command, this is Station 7. I have an impossible reading from inside the Nexus. There is a human ship in the Forbidden Zone, and it appears intact." The reply came 30 seconds later. "Station 7, please repeat your last transmission. Did you say there is a ship inside the Nexus?" "Confirmed. Command, human vessel USS Liberty is 3 light years inside the boundary. All systems show normal operations." Silence lingered for nearly a minute. Then a deeper, sterner voice came through. "Station 7, this is Admiral Texoon. Are you certain your equipment is functioning correctly?" Kextar checked his instruments once more. Everything appeared normal, except for the impossible. "Sir, all systems are green. The ship is real. Maintain observation and record. This keeps all story beats, suspense, and the sense of impossible HFY events intact while smoothing phrasing slightly. If you want, I can also make a slightly punchier, cinematic version for maximum tension while still keeping word count exact. Everything. Do not attempt contact. We are sending a full investigation team." The channel went silent. Kextar turned back to his screens, watching the human ship glide calmly through space that should have torn it apart atom by atom. The USS Liberty moved, as if sailing through a tranquil system instead of the deadliest region known. Word spread across the galactic networks faster than light could carry it. Humanity's neighbors were the first to hear. The Theoxani Empire reacted with their usual dismissal. Admiral Vorum called it impossible and demanded proof that the monitoring equipment had not malfunctioned. The peaceful Quillen Collective took a different approach. Elder Mirith convened her council and referenced ancient texts that spoke of travelers able to traverse the void unharmed. Perhaps, she mused, this was a sign of something beyond mere technology. The Krez Federation, however, immediately prepared their fleets. Generals Thuk had faced humans before and knew they could achieve what seemed impossible. He assumed this was a new weapon or trap designed to lure other ships into the deadly nexus. Throughout the galaxy, species familiar with human stubbornness and ingenuity struggled to comprehend the news. Humans had a reputation for achieving the impossible, fixing engines with makeshift tools, winning unwinnable wars, treating physics more like guidelines than immutable laws. But this was unlike anything before. The void nexus destroyed everything that entered. Ships, energy, even light behaved unpredictably. Centuries of study had all ended the same way, complete annihilation for any vessel daring to cross the threshold. On the Liberty, Captain Jake Morrison finished his morning coffee and reviewed the daily reports. His ship was 3 months into a routine mapping mission in what the navigation system called Sector 7G. The area seemed ordinary, though quantum readings were slightly irregular. Chief Engineer Lisa Carter knocked and entered. She carried a tablet filled with technical data that meant little to Morrison but everything to her. "Captain, we're seeing unusual readings from the quantum drive systems. Nothing critical, but harmonics are off by about 12%. Morrison nodded, noting to check the drives at the next station. "Anything else?" "The communications array is picking up chatter from ships that seem very far away. Officer Hughes reports they're asking strange questions about our location and how we are surviving something." "Surviving what?" Carter shrugged. "The messages make little sense. Ships asking if we're real, demanding to know our technology, things like that. Hughes thinks someone's messing with the channels." Morrison frowned. The mapped area was supposed to be empty. Perhaps other ships were present that his sensors hadn't detected. "Tell Hughes to log everything and trace the messages." 2 hours later, Communications Officer Ben Hughes brought a printout of all messages received. Morrison read through it twice before a strange pattern emerged. Every message asked the same fundamental questions. How are they alive? What technology keeps them safe? And why aren't they afraid of the void? "Hughes, where did you say these messages were coming from?" "All around us, sir. At least 40 ships from a dozen species. They all seem to be holding about 3 light years away." Morrison studied the star charts. According to the navigation system, there was nothing remarkable in their current location, just empty space with some unusual energy readings. But if 40 ships were keeping their distance, perhaps there was something his instruments weren't detecting. "Hughes, send a standard response. Tell them we're on a routine mapping mission and ask why they're concerned about our location." The reply came within minutes. Morrison read it 3 times before comprehension struck. According to the alien ships, the USS Liberty was drifting in the heart of the most dangerous region in known space. They claimed his vessel should have been destroyed the instant it crossed into the Forbidden Zone. Morrison looked out across the bridge viewport. Space appeared normal. Stars glittered in familiar patterns. Radiation and gravity readings were within acceptable ranges. Whatever these aliens considered lethal about this region, his ship remained completely unaffected. That realization would change everything. 3 days after the first detection, the galaxy fractured into 3 distinct camps. Each had its own explanation, and none agreed with the others. Dr. Nelvar of the Aquilian Republic led the scientific coalition. She addressed the finest minds from 20 species, presenting her theory. Humans had clearly developed technology no one else understood. Their quantum drives must operate in a way beyond our current knowledge. "Look at the evidence," Nelvar said, pointing to data streams from monitoring stations. "The human ship shows no signs of stress or damage. Communications are clear, systems function normally. They have apparently created a stable field shielding them from the zone's effects." Other scientists nodded, murmuring agreement. Dr. Kilmex of the Vorthon Empire added, "Human technology frequently works contrary to expectation. They construct devices that shouldn't function, yet somehow do. Perhaps they have discovered aspects of dimensional mechanics we've missed." Nelvar displayed holograms of the Nexus energy readings. "Notice how chaos patterns flow around the human ship, rather than through it. Something is deflecting or absorbing these deadly energies. This phenomenon requires study." The scientific coalition immediately began planning observation missions. They wanted to map the energy fields around the Liberty and understand how it maintained stability in such hostile conditions. Several universities pledged funding for long-term research. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, High Prophet Yaxara of the Celestial Order convened her followers for a very different kind of assembly. The religious gathering interpreted the human ship as fulfillment of ancient prophecies. Sacred texts spoke of This preserves all suspense, scientific intrigue, and galactic reactions, keeping pacing consistent with the original. Star children who would walk unharmed through the great darkness, Yaksara told the gathered believers. They will come from a distant world and show us that faith can overcome any obstacle. The prophecies were ancient, written by a species long vanished. Scholars dismissed them as mythology, but the religious assembly found renewed meaning in the words. According to their interpretation, the humans' arrival in the Forbidden Zone heralded a new age. The void cannot touch those who carry the light within them, Yaksara continued. These humans have been chosen to prove that even the deadliest regions of the universe hold no fear for the faithful. Thousands of pilgrims began traveling toward the Nexus boundary. They came from dozens of worlds, bringing supplies and erecting temporary shelters. Many spent their days in prayer and meditation, striving to reach the spiritual state they believed shielded the human ship. The religious assembly organized the camps, providing food, shelter, and observation platforms equipped with powerful telescopes. Some pilgrims claimed they could sense a holy presence emanating from the Liberty, though not all accepted this as proof. Chief Analyst Torvin of the Galactic Truth Society led the third faction, the Skeptical Alliance. He had spent his career exposing hoaxes and refused to believe a single human ship could survive where entire fleets had perished. This is the most elaborate deception ever attempted, Torvin declared during a broadcast to billions. No known technology can endure the void nexus. These readings must be fabricated or projected from outside the zone. Torvin presented his evidence. Computer models demonstrating that the energy levels within the nexus would annihilate any ship in seconds. He highlighted inconsistencies in the sensor data and questioned why the Liberty appeared precisely where monitoring systems would detect it. Someone wants us to believe this impossible story, he said, but physics does not lie. The void nexus destroys all that enters it. No amount of wishful thinking changes that. The Skeptical Alliance launched its own investigation, sending unmanned probes to the Nexus boundary to test whether the Liberty was a hologram or projection. They analyzed every piece of data, searching for technological trickery. Torvin also questioned the timing. Why now? Why would humans suddenly develop miraculous technology and fly directly into the deadliest region? It made no sense, unless part of a larger plan. Aboard the USS Liberty, the crew remained unaware of the galaxy-wide debate their presence had ignited. Captain Morrison had ordered responses to the strange messages, yet the replies only deepened the confusion. Sir, over 300 messages have arrived in the past day, Communications Officer Ben Hughes reported. They all ask about our survival technology and protective fields. What survival technology? Morrison asked. We're running standard equipment on a routine mission, Hughes replied. That's what I told them, but they don't believe it. Some claim we are lying about our location, others insist we're using classified military tech. Morrison studied the logs. The messages originated from ships belonging to species he'd never encountered, all claiming to remain outside something called the Void Nexus. According to their charts, his vessel was nowhere near any restricted zone. Science Officer Julie Martinez entered the bridge, tablet in hand. Captain, I've cross-checked our position across multiple navigation systems. Computers show normal space, but the quantum resonance patterns suggest otherwise. Otherwise how? Morrison asked. The energy signatures match descriptions of dimensional instability zones. By physics textbooks, we should not maintain structural integrity here. Morrison felt a cold chill. Are we in danger? I don't believe so. Shields are holding. All systems report normal, but mathematically, we occupy a region where the ship should have been destroyed immediately. Chief Engineer Lisa Carter joined in. Diagnostics on every system show perfect operation. However, the quantum drive is behaving oddly. It seems to resonate with an external field. Morrison scanned the bridge. Instruments displayed normal space. The crew was healthy, and the ship operated flawlessly. Yet the math suggested they were in a place that should have obliterated them instantly. The crew experienced no problems. Yet, according to hundreds of alien observers, they were performing an impossible feat, simply by existing where they were. Martinez, study everything you can about these dimensional instability zones. Carter, keep monitoring the quantum drive and report any anomalies. Hughes, continue logging communications, but hold off on responding until we understand what's happening. The USS Liberty pressed onward through space that appeared normal, yet apparently defied every law of physics known to galactic civilization. The news reached Earth via quantum communications on a Tuesday morning. Admiral Kate Thompson sipped her coffee as a priority alert flashed across her screen. She read it 3 times before convening an emergency meeting with the Science Council. Dr. Henry Clark arrived at Defense Headquarters within the hour. He had reviewed all available data en route and looked gravely concerned. "Doctor, your assessment?" Thompson asked without preamble. Clark spread his tablet across the conference table. The USS Liberty is indeed in the void nexus, according to all external observations, yet their navigation systems place them in normal space. This paradox should be impossible. "Can our ships survive in that region?" Thompson asked. "Absolutely not. Records show that vessels entering dimensional instability zones face complete destruction within minutes. The Liberty should not exist in its current state." Thompson leaned back. "Then how do we explain this?" Clark shook his head. "Current science provides no explanation. The Liberty appears to occupy a stable pocket of normal space-time within the chaos. This suggests either a massive failure affecting all monitoring stations in the sector, or humanity has accidentally achieved something that defies known physics." President Susan Davis joined via secure video link. Though briefed on the situation, she wanted to hear the options directly. Thompson outlined 3 possibilities. "We could send a rescue mission to extract the Liberty, though any ship entering the Nexus will likely be destroyed. We could wait and observe while attempting to improve communications with Captain Morrison. Or we could treat this as a research opportunity and study how they are surviving." "What does Captain Morrison report?" the president asked. "He reports normal conditions, but acknowledges unusual phenomena. His crew is investigating, yet they have no explanation for the external observations." The president decided swiftly. "Send the USS Endeavor under Captain Ryan Foster to investigate. Approach the boundary but do not enter the zone. We must understand this before risking more lives." Captain Foster received his orders with mixed feelings. The Endeavor was one of humanity's newest ships, outfitted with the latest sensors and defenses, but even the best equipment would not protect them if the void nexus destroyed everything that crossed it. The journey to the nexus boundary took 6 days. During that time, Foster studied every piece of available data on dimensional instability zones and the Liberty's situation. The more he learned, the more impossible it seemed. Upon reaching the monitoring station, where Commander Kitar maintained his watch, Foster immediately recognized the dilemma. His sensors confirmed the same impossible reading, a human ship existing calmly in space that should have killed it instantly. Foster opened a communication channel to the Liberty. Captain Morrison's voice came through clearly, calm and measured, showing no signs of distress. The conversation highlighted how differently the 2 ships perceived the situation. "Morrison, what is your current status?" Foster asked. "All systems normal, Foster. We're conducting standard mapping operations in Sector 7G. Some unusual energy readings, but nothing dangerous. Jake, our instruments show you are inside the Void Nexus. That region has destroyed every ship that ever entered it." A long pause followed before Morrison replied. "Our navigation shows normal space. Are you certain about your readings?" Foster checked again. "Confirmed. You are 3 light years inside the boundary of the most dangerous zone in known space." Back on the Liberty, the senior officers gathered in the conference room to assess their situation. Captain Morrison had briefed them on Foster's warning, and they needed a plan. Science Officer Julie Martinez had spent the past week analyzing the quantum drive and surrounding space. Captain, we appear to be inside the void nexus, but the ship exists within a stable bubble of normal physics. The quantum drive is generating a field that harmonizes with the chaotic energies rather than being destroyed by them. Chief Engineer Lisa Carter added, "Drive systems are running at 97% efficiency, better than normal. Whatever field we're generating seems to improve performance rather than drain it." Communications Officer Ben Hughes reported unsettling news. "Sir, messages from outside indicate that ships attempting to reach us are being destroyed at the boundary. The Endeavour is the first vessel to survive approaching the edge." Morrison considered the data carefully. To survive and understand their situation, they needed to study the field sustaining them. "Martinez, what happens if we shut down the quantum drive?" "Unknown, sir. The field might collapse and expose us to the zone's effects, or it may be self-sustaining. I would not recommend testing it unless absolutely necessary. Can we move toward the boundary?" Carter consulted her reports. "The drive shows normal maneuvering is possible, but if the protective field has a limited range, moving might take us outside its influence." Morrison made the decision that would define humanity's approach to the impossible. Instead of fleeing, they would study and understand. "We will conduct controlled experiments to map the extent of our protective field." Martinez, "Design tests to reveal how this phenomenon works." Carter, "Monitor all systems and be ready to reverse any maneuver immediately if problems arise." The Liberty began a series of cautious maneuvers within the void nexus. Each experiment revealed more about their unique situation and the field shielding them from destruction. The crew documented everything, turning survival into a scientific mission. Outside the zone, Foster watched in awe as the Liberty moved freely through space that should have been instantly lethal. He relayed each observation to Earth, where scientists and military leaders struggled to comprehend what they were witnessing. The galaxy watched as humans did what they always did when faced with the impossible. Instead of accepting limits, they explored, studied, and learned to master them. The Liberty crew was not merely surviving, they were mapping, controlling, and understanding the void nexus. News of humanity's survival spread through galactic networks like wildfire. Within 2 weeks, the political landscape of known space began shifting in unexpected ways. The hegemony of Talar, humanity's closest trading partners, immediately declared support for the event's authenticity. Ambassador Kra announced that her government would provide full assistance for research missions studying the phenomenon. The Talar had fought alongside humans in 3 conflicts and knew better than to doubt human capability. "Our allies have shown once again that the impossible is just another challenge to overcome," Kra stated in a public broadcast. "The hegemony stands ready to support joint research and share in whatever discoveries emerge." The Zarian supremacy responded differently. Chancellor Vexer, who had long competed with humanity for territory and resources, refused to accept that. Humans had achieved something beyond his superior technology. He convened an emergency session of the Supremacy Council and declared the situation propaganda. "This is clearly an attempt to inflate humanity's reputation," Vexer told his advisors. "They want others to believe humans possess reality-altering technology. We cannot let this deception influence our strategy." The supremacy began spreading counter-propaganda through information networks, claiming the Liberty was a holographic projection designed to intimidate other species. Vexer ordered scientists to prove that the Liberty could not exist where sensors detected it. Trade routes across the galaxy shifted as species reacted to the news. The Moran Collective, a cautious trading coalition, immediately suspended all commerce with human space, fearing humanity's reality technology might be used against merchants or in territorial disputes. Other civilizations moved in the opposite direction. The Velkan Republic, known for scientific achievement, offered to triple technology exchange agreements with humanity, hoping to access the breakthrough allowing survival in dimensional chaos zones. Independent worlds that had ignored human space began sending diplomatic missions to Earth. Religious movements also reacted dramatically. The Children of the Eternal Void, a sect worshipping the Nexus as divine, declared humans transcendent beings capable of walking among the gods. Thousands petitioned governments for permission to travel to human space. Other religious groups reacted with fear. The Order of Natural Law claimed humans were dangerous reality manipulators threatening the universe's structure, calling for quarantines to prevent the spread of their cosmic influence. The Void Nexus itself became a hub of unprecedented activity. Monitoring stations that had watched empty space for decades suddenly coordinated research vessels, pilgrimage ships, and military observers. Commander Kekstar requested additional staff to manage the traffic. Inside the Nexus, the Liberty crew focused on scientific investigation. Captain Morrison established a daily routine of controlled experiments mapping the extent and nature of their protective field. Each test revealed new insights into their unique situation. Science Officer Julie Martinez made the first major breakthrough during the third week. "Captain, the quantum drive isn't just creating a protective field, it's harmonizing with the chaotic energies of the Nexus. The drive is learning to work with the zone's physics rather than fighting it." Chief Engineer Lisa Carter confirmed Martinez's findings. "Sir, power efficiency has increased 18% since entering the region. The quantum drive is drawing energy from the chaos field and converting it into usable power." The implications were staggering. The Liberty wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. Systems operated better than in normal space, suggesting the chaotic energies could be harnessed, not merely defended against. Communications Officer Ben Hughes reported another development. "Captain, we are receiving signals from deep within the Nexus. They appear artificial, but unlike any technology in our databases." Morrison studied the patterns. The transmissions were structured and purposeful, but did not match known protocols. Something else was active in the Void Nexus, hidden by its deadly reputation. Navigation Officer Peter Collins made a disturbing discovery while mapping their movement. "Sir, the space around us isn't randomly chaotic. Energy flows show patterns, almost like a larger system." The crew began to suspect the Nexus was more than natural. Collins' pattern suggested an artificial origin, as if the entire region were a massive technological construct mistaken for a disaster. During the fourth week, crew member Danny Walsh reported unusual behavior in the ship's AI. "The computers are processing faster than specifications allow, making connections beyond their programming. The AI is learning things we never—" "I taught it," Walsh explained to Morrison. "The AI is absorbing information from the energy fields around us and integrating it into its knowledge base." Captain Morrison realized that the Liberty had stumbled into something far more significant than a survival story. The ship was not just proving humans could survive the impossible, it was discovering that the impossible might not be what everyone believed. The quantum drive continued its evolution, adapting to forces no other species had learned to control. Systems improved daily as they harmonized with the Nexus's strange physics. Most importantly, the crew began to understand they had found something that could alter the fundamental nature of space travel. Outside the zone, the galaxy watched and waited. Political shifts and religious upheavals continued, but the true revolution was happening inside the Void Nexus, where one human ship was learning to make the impossible routine. The breakthrough came during the 6th week, when Communications Officer Ben Hughes decoded the artificial signals from deep within the Nexus. The patterns were not random. They formed part of a vast technological network that had operated for thousands of years, hidden from the galaxy. "Captain, I've translated portions of the signal structure," Hughes reported at the daily briefing. "The transmissions appear to be maintenance protocols for a massive system spanning the entire Nexus region." Science officer Julie Martinez analyzed the energy patterns Collins had discovered, confirming Hughes' conclusions. Sir, the chaotic energies are not natural phenomena. They are operational signatures of an ancient technological construct, long mistaken for dimensional instability. Captain Morrison reviewed the month and a half of data collected by his crew. Every piece pointed to the same impossible conclusion. The void nexus was not a deadly natural zone, but a functioning piece of technology, abandoned or forgotten by its creators. Martinez, what kind of technology could generate effects on this scale? Morrison asked. Something designed to manipulate fundamental forces of reality itself? She replied. The energy patterns indicate control over space-time, gravity, and quantum fields across multiple light years. This is technology far beyond anything currently known. Chief Engineer Lisa Carter connected the dots between their quantum drive and the system's operations. Captain, our quantum drive shares principles with whatever built this place. When we entered the Nexus, our systems interfaced automatically with the ancient network. The revelation was profound. Humanity had not created miraculous survival technology. They had rediscovered the principles of an extinct civilization's most advanced construct. The quantum drive recognized compatible systems and established a connection that shielded the liberty from defensive measures. Morrison knew they had to understand more before attempting to leave. Martinez, can you determine who built this system and what happened to them? The signal patterns include fragments that might contain historical records. Give me a few days to analyze them, she replied. While Martinez decoded the ancient data, the crew continued experiments moving through the Nexus. They discovered their quantum drive could navigate energy patterns with increasing precision, allowing faster, more efficient travel than in normal space. Collins mapped safe passages through different regions, revealing that the ancient system included transportation corridors designed for rapid travel between distant points. Captain, if we can learn to use these pathways, we could cross the galaxy in days instead of months, Collins said. The implications were staggering. The Void Nexus was not a forbidden zone, but a transportation network inactive for so long that galactic civilization had long forgotten the Nexus' original purpose. The Liberty had inadvertently reactivated part of the system through their quantum drive interface. Martinez completed her analysis of the historical data fragments after 3 days of continuous work. What she uncovered explained everything about the Nexus and why it had remained hidden for so long. Captain, this system was built by a species called the Architects roughly 12,000 years ago. They developed technology capable of manipulating universal constants and used it to create a galaxy-spanning transportation and communication network. What happened to them? Morrison asked. The records are incomplete, Martinez replied. But it seems they faced a crisis that forced them to abandon the network. Before leaving, they programmed it to defend itself against unauthorized access while waiting for a user with compatible technology to reactivate it. Morrison grasped the full scope of their discovery. So the Nexus has been destroying ships for millennia because they weren't equipped to interface with it properly? Correct. Unauthorized vessels were identified as threats and eliminated. But our quantum drive technology was sufficiently close to architect principles that the network accepted us as legitimate users. The crew spent another week mastering their interface with the ancient system. Carter discovered they could adjust their quantum drive to access various functions: enhanced travel speed, extended communications range, and advanced sensor capabilities. When Morrison finally decided it was time to leave, the Liberty had become far more advanced than the ship that had accidentally entered the Nexus. The quantum drive had evolved through its connection to the Architect network, and the crew had learned to operate technology inaccessible to any other species. Exiting the Void Nexus was as remarkable as surviving within it. Using techniques Martinez developed from the Architect records, Morrison guided the Liberty through a controlled transition to the boundary zone, where Captain Foster and the USS Endeavour waited. Foster's astonishment was evident when he hailed the Liberty. "Jake, We've been monitoring impossible energy readings from your position. What did you discover in there? Morrison replied. We found that the void nexus is not what anyone thought. This information must get back to Earth immediately. The return journey to human space took only 4 days, using the enhanced capabilities of the modified quantum drive. News of their survival and extraction spread across galactic networks faster than the ship could travel, sparking waves of speculation and debate. Upon reaching Earth, Morrison found himself at the center of the greatest scientific and political upheaval in galactic history. The discovery that the void nexus was an ancient transportation network reshaped how species viewed dangerous regions of space they had avoided for millennia. Admiral Thompson authorized the Terra Nexus research station at the boundary of the zone, promoting Morrison to oversee the facility. The station became a joint operation between humanity and any species willing to contribute to studying the Architect network. Dr. Martinez led research teams working to understand and reverse engineer the ancient technology, while Carter designed modifications enabling other human ships to safely interface with the network. Within 6 months, humanity had established the first regular transportation routes through what was once considered the deadliest region in space. The galaxy watched as humans turned another impossible situation into routine operations. Species that had doubted humanity's capabilities now faced the reality that humans had not only survived the Forbidden Zone, but had learned to control it. The final test came when engineer Alan Rodriguez guided the first non-human vessel through a controlled Nexus passage, a TAR research ship that emerged intact and undamaged. As other species accepted that humanity could make the impossible routine, deep space monitoring stations detected another human ship vanishing into a different forbidden zone on the galaxy's far side. The cycle began again, as the universe learned that humans would always survive where others could not, often revealing that the impossible had merely been misunderstood.